Well, welcome to another super helpful pinball repair video from the Goat Shed. Today we're working on a very rare AMI hot race. Now this generated a little bit of interest from people who said they hadn't seen one before when we posted something about it a little while ago. So we thought we might do a few videos on it and show you our process for repairing it. So this is a game that I don't know how many were made. We probably should look that up. Just while we're looking that up, today is Tuesday, the 6th of September 2022, and it's 11 degrees Celsius outside and it's 51.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So just let's have a look at how many of those were made. So this machine is from 1976 and there are 1460 made according to the IPDB. Now here where we are in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, we know of 3 of these, and we've already had one in the Goat Shed maybe about a year or so ago, and did some work on that, and it too had a lovely playfield. This particular one, the back glass needs a little bit of work done on it, and we're going to inform the owner, and he does stuff like that so he can come and pick it up and hopefully weave some magic with it. So this is a typical 4-player configuration. These people have had obviously obtained a license from Gottlieb. We're going through the score reels at the moment, rather a boring task, but needless to say has to be done. What they've done, you can see here, it's typically a Gottlieb style reel. These people have used their own metal. You can see it's a little cheaper looking metal. They've got they've made the circuit board by that mob there, SMIRG, Smurg. Almost sounds like a spy thing, doesn't it? It was Smirsh, I think. The replay unit is very cheap and nasty looking. It's just the metal, and it actually goes up to 26 replays, which is quite interesting. Have a look over here. This is the player unit. Unlike a Gottlieb, they're using a round contact pad, and we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Jones plugs for the score reels. Gee, you can imagine that could be possibly problematic. Over here we have our relay bank for our score reels, or our scores I should say. They haven't followed the NMLK regime of Gottlieb. They've gone their own way. They've used a FSAS type mech there, which looks like it needs a bit of work, so we'll have to go through that. Now let's have a look at the motorboard. Now that unit we're looking at there, they call this the player count unit. So it's kind of like a coin unit. It does a few extra additional little things. Now, it's rather interesting. We've got to figure out where the home position for that is. I think we've figured that out, but when we turn the unit on, we'll check that out. Okay, now all the relay banks are same as Gottlieb. Once again, they've made their own frames and everything. The score motor, and they've followed the Gottlieb regime of the anti-clockwise and the switch stacks and cams and everything. The chime unit, if I can just show you that, here it is here, once again typical Gottlieb. the fuse holders, we can see here someone's soldered the fuse directly on there. So what we'll do is we're just waiting on some fuse holders to come in. They should have been here actually. They were ordered a couple of months ago, but at least it works. Now here's something interesting that I might like to show you. There's the cover for the on and off switch. Now that's simply a cap off like a rattle can. So that's a bit of a tip for you. I guess a lot of people are making these on 3D printers and all that sort of thing now. There's absolutely nothing left on the front door except the replay button. All the mechs and everything have been removed. So we did have this going into tilt all the time, but I think we've sorted that out now. This is going to be a bit of an ongoing project. We've got a fair bit to do. Look at the coin entrance plates, are all nice and shiny. So up under the game, under the playfield, once again it's typical Gottlieb, the flippers. There's even the triangle lamp array up there like on, say, Buccaneer. That'll be interesting. I bet you a lot of those have come out. Now this one doesn't have a lot of plays on it. I'm just going to try and have a look at that. 17,501. Now this would probably be pretty accurate. I don't know that it spent a lot of time in the arcades or anything this game. So a fairly low player count. You can often tell, you can see the naught on the left, it'd sort of be a little bit up in the air or down a bit if it had been rolled over, but it clearly hasn't. What else have we got here? Oh, the owners put little LEDs in the flipper buttons. He seems to like to do things like that. Something down here with the power for that right there. I don't know, I'm not an electronics guy, but that couple of resistors, and I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's the DC side of it for his lights. Alright, now we're going to carry on with this and we'll keep you updated, but I'll just give you a quick look at the cabinet. The owner has once again sprayed the cabinet. I don't believe that's original. He sort of he does a bit of airbrushing, this guy. There's nothing wrong with that. It looks quite okay. So let's wait and see what the outcome of this. Alright, now on this hot race machine, someone's had the player unit pad off at some stage, contact pad, which is this one here, and they've put it on incorrectly. So we put it on where it came off, but it's not right. It was going straight to ball 3, and obviously that's incorrect. Now the way to get these, to work these sort of things out, if you're not sure, just connect to the ground a jumper lead, earth it out on the frame, and turn your machine on, and then set the rivet plate on manual. Now allow us to show you how to do that. What's gone wrong?
Is that it?
Hang on, I'll tell you in a sec.
Should be on there.
Here it is. Alright, so we've now found the home position for the player unit and tightened it all up, and it all works. We've just scored a few points. There's still a bit more to do on this. The 100 reel on player 1 seems to be having a problem with carryover, so it's either the end of stroke switch on it or possibly the score reel next to it. These score reels are one of those ones that have the 2 switches, one for end of stroke and one for the carryover. to the next reel, just like a Gottlieb. So we've done that. Now we've got no playfield lights at all. We've discovered what that problem is. We did mention earlier, we looked at the fuse holders, and yep, one of them is bad, so we'll see if we can find one somewhere to put in it. We've already ran a jumper wire across, and that was the problem. With our circuit breaker, now if you haven't got a circuit breaker, highly recommend you get one of these. You know, you can get them in 5, 10, 15 amp. If it pops, just push the button back in. We solder a blown fuse on the bottom to make it easy to put in. Obviously you can use alligator clips if you want, but they're super, super handy, and you won't regret buying those at all. So once we get the playfield lights working and everything else, we'll be able to check the functionality of the machine. So this is a really fast game when you get it up and running. One we had here before played really, really well, and makes for some good shots on the drop targets, because you can get specials, as you can see there on the specials all light up and everything to get a target, hit a target and get a replay. We already noticed the machine was in free play. You might be able to just see in there. Let's try and point to it. That lug, someone's unsoldered a wire and just shorted it out to the next switch to give it free play. So like I said, there's where we were doing that work. That's totally different than a Gottlieb. It's got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about nine pins. Was that a pin hidden behind there? Yeah, so really different. But that's how you worked it out. So you can do that the same on any game. It's not rocket science. It's very simple to do. You just got to remember to ground it out, because this is the ground wire here. Oh, that was the other thing we had to do. We noticed the lights were blinking a little bit. That ground, or common wire as we should say, it's sort of like a brass or something fitting, and it was just filthy dirty on the back side. So we just got the Dremel tool out and dremeled that up, and that made a huge difference to the machine, or the light. So let's start a game, and you'll see that lamp come on up there. There it is, ball 1. Ball 5, which is the bottom one there on the right, the socket's bad. We're going to have to change that. The other thing we have noticed on this is that it's matching all the time on the same number. So this has got one of those FS relays in. We have serviced it, so it's either not getting a power to it, or something, or the relay which controls it is got a dirty switch or something. So we'll have a look at that. Let me just show you something else. This is the schematic out of this AMI hot race, and you can see straight away there's no location down the side for the coils. You've just got to look for it. So it gives you all the coil names and everything. But if you're looking for the hold, which is M, so you find M, there it is there. But normally if that was a Gottlieb game or a Williams or a Bally, it'd tell you to look at 17E, and that'd be down the bottom. They don't do that. I don't know why, but they didn't. And often on the schematics, they leave out on one side of the switch what wire colours are there. So you've got to trace all around the place to try and find out what wire colours there. That's just a little thing working on these foreign games. I mean, we said this was 1976, I believe. You know, getting up toward the end of electromechanical, but gee, you'd think they could have taken a bit more care in writing the schematics to make it a bit easier. But they didn't, so we've just got to live with that. There's nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid. So we're just going to keep carrying on with this game, and we'll show you a little bit more. Okay, so the 0 to 9 unit is not operating simply because the XS relay, which is the little type Gottlieb AS FS relay, there's a switch, and that switch is right here on the XA relay, a make break switch. The top part of it's to do with the reset circuit, and once the machine's reset, that switch should be closed. It's closed, but it's not making, and then it goes through the XB, which is the 1000 point, and the XC, which is the 10,000 point. So if you have a look here, so here we go. Let's just show you. Graham, there's the switch concerned, that make break. Graham will short that out. You can now see the relay operating. Now, just while we're talking about those relays, it's got two printed circuit boards on it. One side is for the match number, and the other side is the actual circuit that provides the match via the score reel printed circuit board. So, as I say, they're the same as the Gottlieb ones. As I was saying earlier, the schematics are a little different, but you can eventually work them out. Sort of printed on yellow paper and like a purplish ink, sort of like on a plan drawing printer is I think what they've used here, because it's a big wide schematic. We had to tape this one up. There was another thing too. When we started the game, the start relay wouldn't hold on, and it turns out the hold on circuit is located here on motor switch 2C. That goes right up the top and across through the start relay. So that's a little different as well, rather than a Gottlieb. So the Italians have had a bit of a think about how they do things, and they just decided to do things just a little bit differently with some things. As we mentioned, the player units are a bit different. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but it's all part of the fun. Well, here we are, still carrying on repairs to Hot Race, the Italian machine from the company AMI. Now, this has been somewhat problematic, this game. We're pretty well at a point now where we've got it working. Just got to carry on further testing, but what I thought we'd do now is let's just watch the unique reset sequence on this game. Pretty well every reel resets independently, so we've got scores on every reel, so observe. See that? It does player 1 and 4, then it does players 2 and 3, each individual reel. Have seen other games that do that. It looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Now, once again, we have... Look at all that. The guy's got all these LEDs in it, and I personally don't like them. And he's modified it to have an LED fitted in. Where are they? We might be able to see them. Just under here on each side. Anyway, it's his machine. I guess he can do what he likes with it. Now, one thing I omitted earlier in the video because I got distracted and I'd forgotten, we were talking about the player unit here. So we had a lead connected to the ground wire, and then a lead connected to the frame for ground, and we had those 3 screws off, and we started a new game, and we had no ball lights because this disc wasn't connected. And then what we did, we just put the disc on roughly in the centre and moved it around until we achieved ball 1, player 1. Now, took a couple of goes, and that's how you actually carry out that procedure. Once you're happy with where it is, screw it down again and just check it and make sure everything's working okay. So that's how you actually do that procedure. Works on the same on a Gottlieb machine, or in fact anything. But the important thing is you've got to hook that ground wire onto the ground cable hanging out of the disc, and connect it to ground. Now, as we tested this machine, we found another really unusual problem. What we found was that it was giving double bonus in a 5-ball game on the 3rd ball. In other words, ball 1, ball 2 would work fine for a single bonus. Ball 3 would give you a double bonus, and sometimes a bit more, and ball 4 and 5 would work quite okay. So what we decided we'd do is change it to 3-ball. Now, so this is the plug adjustment here for 3 and 5 ball. So the right hand side is 5-ball and the left hand side is 3-ball. Now, as I said, when it was in 3-ball, everything would work perfectly with the bonuses. When it was in 5-ball, it would play up. Now, being a machine from a foreign country who really didn't write schematics all that well, we've sort of spoken about that earlier in the video, some wire colours were missing, etc., etc., we were actually able to work out that the plug had been somehow inverted. In other words, the way it's been rewired, the way it was this wire was on the bottom, that wire was on the top, and this wire was in the middle. Or it might have been the other way around, I don't remember. But so you can see we've had we'll put a bit of paper on there to mark it. And the terrible thing about these is the insulation, the sheathing moves away. We might have to do something about that, but it's all over the place in this. So the owner is an electrical person. We might let him deal with all that. So once we figured all that out, and we did that by removing the plug and connecting jumper wires to it. So yeah, what we had to do was just put jumper wires from the male side to the female side and swap them around until we achieved the desired position. The schematic helped a bit, but it wasn't 100%. So just be wary of that sort of thing if you're working on these older games. It can catch you out. It's not something you expect, but it is something that happened. Now, as we've already pointed out earlier on, the owner's done some modifications with LEDs, put some bridge rectifiers in and things like that. So, you know, they're the sort of things he had to deal with. So the game is now pretty much playing, which is good. We've just got to hook up the left flipper and play it a little bit more, just to be 100% sure about the whole game. The game has some interesting rule sets, and one of those rule sets is that when you get A, B, C, D out at the top on first ball, and you get a set of drop targets down, what occurs is, yeah, so once A, B, C, D are out, Graham was just correcting me there in the background, you get one of the red lamps for special light up. They move off one of those little 0 to 9 FSAS steppers. So diagonally, they work diagonally. You might get B and D lit and then C and D. It changes off the pop bumper. And if you hit the one that's lit for special, you will get a replay. That then lets go of the first ball relay and closes another switch, and if you get any subsequent ones, no matter what ball it is, you only get an extra ball. So that's quite interesting. You can only get a special replay on first ball. When you think about it, I suppose it'd be too easy to get too many. It sort of works a little bit like, say, Gottlieb's Kingpin. But, you know, you've got to get the drop targets down twice. First time you get 5,000 points. And the same here. You get 1,000 points or 5,000 when lit on the drop targets. So, yeah, an interesting game for sure. So, pretty much we're happy with Hot Race. Spanky's happy with it. We're even more happy now that we've fixed that double bonus problem because, gee, that gave us some headaches. That was a real pain to work out, a real pain. But we managed to do it, people. We managed it. So, all that said, once again, I'm still on the countdown. It's now only about tomorrow week. So Thursday the 22nd I leave Australia and I arrive at LA just after 6 in the morning. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing any of our YouTube fans at either Pinball Expo in Schaumburg, Illinois, or the White Rose Game Room Show in York in Pennsylvania, and anywhere else on the route that we've taken, which is up on the Facebook page. So, this has been another Goat Shed presentation.